What is going on, everybody? Hope everybody's doing well. It's a little bit of a green day, I guess. That's why you see the green behind me and everything. But, our privacy, what this video is about, our privacy is actually under attack, piling on top of us being attacked by this virus. Basically, while we're distracted by the virus, the government is trying to get a bill passed that would undermine our First Amendment and Fourth Amendment rights. So it's something I kind of felt like I should talk about a little bit. I don't know. Let's check it out. Just a real quick PSA here too. Hackers are using coronavirus maps to spread malware. So if you have people who tend to open attachments and emails and things like that that they're not expecting, then definitely warn them of this. This is something that I could see happening to a lot of people, because they're concerned. It's one of those things. It's a high target environment right now. You could send out this spam or malware and say, hey, here's a real-time map of coronavirus cases and deaths and all the statistics and everything to go along with it. Just download and install this software, and you'll get the real-time data. So just be cautious out there. This is the time when people start doing stupid stuff like this, taking advantage of people. So just be aware. Don't download, open attachments from unknown sources or unvalidated sources. What I tell people is, if they do receive something that appears to be from someone that they trust, then just call that person or send them a separate email, and say, hey, did you send me this? Because 9 times out of 10, if they are that suspicious about it, then they probably didn't actually send it, right? So it probably didn't come from a known source or a trusted source. So just keep stuff like that in mind. I know I'm not really doing like mining content. I felt like this thing that's going on right now with the bill that we're going to talk about is kind of important. It's news. We are all in the crypto space. We deal with encryption a lot. We typically like free speech. We don't like people telling us what to do with our free speech, our money, all those kinds of things. I felt like it was pretty important to actually talk about this. So let's kind of get into it here. So what would you say if every message you send could be read by law enforcement or government? Would that make you feel a little bit uncomfortable? Because it does to me. But there's a bill being sponsored by Lindsey Graham and Richard Blumenthal called the Earn It Act. And that might actually enable the ability for government law enforcement to read all messages, basically in clear text, right? It's not going to say, I don't think that the bill is saying that encryption could be illegal. It's just saying that they want a way of like a pass key, or a private key that could read encrypted messages by any platform that supports encryption, right? So the bill creates a National Commission on Online Child Sexual Exploitation Prevention. And, that is one of those little tricks that policymakers make, or policymakers do, to make you think that it's for the better good, right? Or the overall good of the community, the society, whatever. And in this case, it's just kind of like a trick. It's one of those things where they say look over here while they're doing something else over there, right? But they gave it this really cool name, makes it sound like it's against sexual exploitation of children. But basically, they are going to they're tasked with developing best practices for owners of internet platforms to prevent, reduce, and respond to child exploitation online, and will be headed by Attorney General Barr. And if you're not familiar, Barr has repeatedly made it very clear that he would like to ban encryption altogether and guarantee law enforcement legal access to any digital message. Now, the first hearing for this was March 12th, and so I don't know the status of it right now, but I think that they're probably also, more distracted by other things going on in the world right now. But the first hearing was on March 12th, and the authors of the bill are pretty sneaky by not including the word encryption in the entire bill, right? So they wrote this bill, and they didn't include what everybody was complaining about, which was, hey, we're not going to give up encryption, right? We're not going to break encryption end to end. That can't happen, right? So they wrote the whole bill and worded it in such a way that it never mentions encryption at all. But believe me, if you read the bill, you can see how it does apply to encryption without a doubt. So it silently strips away the Section 230 protections. And that's a powerful federal law that gives online businesses protection against legal claims from hosting information that's written by their users or their subscribers or whatever. It's like, I think they call it kind of the blogger's law, where basically if a blogger says something on a platform, whatever, then the platform itself can't be held legally responsible for whatever the blogger says. And that makes sense to me. And this bill, the Earn It Act, or the Earn It Bill, actually undermines that. It's undermining free speech online. If you say something illegal online, you should be the one held. What Section 230 describes is, if you say something online, you should be the one held accountable, not the website or the platform where you said it. So this is something that they are basically undermining with the Earn It Act. You can read a little bit about it here. It goes pretty in depth, but just understand that the issue is that the government, in that Earn It Act, the government wants to break encryption. They want to have a key that they can read, or force the provider, whatever the platform provider is, they want to be able to force them to provide them with clear text, written messages through. It would probably be through like a subpoena or court order or whatever, but nonetheless, it would be something that they could get if they needed to get it. Now, this is not saying that the encryption itself is going to be broken. It's not, and this actually could be kind of silly because, it's not silly, because the problem is that they want the businesses, right? This act would go after the businesses for the encryption part of it, or for the content part of it. So, for example, if there was an investigation on a platform, whatever the platform is called, where someone either posted something or they wrote something talking about, and at this point it could be literally anything, even though the bill describes child exploitation, right? But it could really be about anything, because the platform's not going to know. The platform's probably not going to know what the court order is about. So it literally could be anything. And so then the business, the platform, would have to provide unencrypted data, those messages in unencrypted form for the government to read, or for law enforcement to read. That's a problem to me. I don't know. Let me know what y'all think about this. Let's see. Checking the chat for the first time here. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I appreciate it. Yeah, Nefarious. I was messing around with Streamlabs, the automated, um, the automated moderator. So I guess maybe it's kind of going crazy here. That's funny. It's got you a bunch of times, Nefarious. That's kind of funny. All right, so maybe I'll turn that off because you guys are pretty good. So, yeah, that's funny. All right, I'll check that out. I'll tune it down a little bit with the automated moderator there. Yeah, so this bill is not good. Is the easiest way to say it, for privacy and all that stuff. You know, there's several articles here. I can link them in the description if you want to take a closer look at it. But again, it is, you know, just me looking at it today, it's literally a trick. It is a trick, you know, because it's one of those things that politicians do, right? They are lawmakers do. They want to say, hey, here's what we're trying to combat. They did the same thing with the Patriot Act. No one was against the Patriot Act, or very few people were against that, but look at where that got us, right? With the invasion of privacy and, you know, all the stuff that those agencies that cannot be named are doing to us, right? With the whole Ed Snowden and all that stuff, right? So that's what led to that. And we're kind of seeing it again, because the more that they can get into our privacy, the more, you know, control. I'm not one of those weird conspiracy theorists where I think that because the government, look, there's too many people, right? It would be really hard for them to really control us, but they have made comments, and they do control us through advertising and what they show on the TV, right? If you are subscribed to any mass media or mainstream media, MSM type, you know, if you watch those shows, then that is programmed, right? It's not news. It is whatever their bosses, whoever owns that media outlet, it's what they want you to hear. So if you only listen to that, and you see these people all the time, you see them all the time, and you talk to them all the time, probably not lately because of the whole quarantine and you know, social distancing, which I have no problem with at all. This is my format here. I like this. This is okay. But if you guys asked me out for like to have a drink or something like that, I wouldn't go. So yeah. So you know, those platforms are just telling you exactly what they want you to hear. You know, and slowly, possibly slowly changing your opinions about things, you know, over time. They only show you the ads that they want you to show you. Anyway, you know, I mean, that could be a whole other story. But let's focus on this particular bill because this is bad. Now, how do you actually take action against it? You know, you would have to contact, I think I have this open here. Let's see here. I think, yeah, let me open this up here. So the way that you would do it to protect against, you know, to reject this bill, I think you have to contact, you know, your lawmakers, you know, that kind of thing, your offices in your state, and your senators and things like that. This doesn't really say. So yeah, is anti-speech, anti-security, anti-innovation, and unnecessary. Learn more. No. So yeah, it doesn't really say how to do it. Okay, so over here it says take action, look up your representatives. I hate whenever they ask stuff like it's like, why are you asking my street address? Okay, maybe my zip code. Or if you prefer not to use our email tool, click here. Let's do that. Okay, you guys can go through this. This is you know, how to contact your congressman and things like that. So let them know it's being debated in Congress right now, from what I understand. But this is really bad, a bad bill, no doubt. Let's see if I covered all the different things. There's this quote by Benjamin Franklin, and I do understand that it's about taxes and some other issues going on at the time, and it's often taken out of context. I get it, but it does apply. If you feel like I feel, it does apply to this situation. And the quote is, "Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety." Now, his quote, Benjamin Franklin, that was something to do with taxes and something that was being debated at the time. But I really feel like that does apply, because I feel that way, right? Basically, it's saying, those who would trade privacy for a bit of security deserve neither privacy nor security. I still feel like that applies, even though it was probably taken out of context. It was, a few hundred years ago. Anyway, there's no way that Ben Franklin knew anything about digital age unless he was a time traveler or something. But so it was definitely taken out of context, most likely, but it still applies, in my opinion. Let me see what y'all are talking about in the chat here. No, Nefarious, I did not know that. Who is Psychostick? You're probably gonna be like, what? I've never heard of them. Would you know Falling in Reverse or Avenged Sevenfold if I said those names? Yeah, I don't know Psychostick. Yeah, I didn't really go too in depth into the actual content, I mean, the context of the actual article or the actual act that they're trying to pass. Let's read a little bit of my highlights here real quick. So Section 230, the one that I talked about earlier, this is the good one, right? This is Section 230. This is the one that protects the platform from its users, basically, and what the users say. Section 230 enforces the common sense principle that if you say something illegal online, you should be the one held responsible, not the website or platform where you said it. And there are some exceptions. Probably hate speech. I didn't click on this, but probably hate speech and stuff like that. Okay. Thanks to Section 230, online platforms can now allow users to share your thoughts without fear from that something they say could cost them millions of dollars, or even jail time. Okay. So what this bill is trying to do is set up a commission, right? And I think it has like 14 members or 19 members or something like that. And it's weighed heavily with law enforcement, the people who want to circumvent encryption, right? And it also has the top person, chairperson, I don't know what you would call it, but that person is going to receive a best practices list that's developed by the rest of the commission. But the thing is that person, I think it's Barr, they have the veto power over whatever the best practices are. So in the end, if that person doesn't like what the rest of the commission gives them as best practices for a website to operate under this new act, then he can change it. So if he doesn't agree with it, then he can just override it. No, that's not what we're going to go with. We're going to go with this. And that person is the person that has already stated that they want to do away with encryption altogether. So this is big, guys. This is big. I don't think that, because of how things work in the government, I don't think that this was like, I don't think that the virus is like intentionally like distracting us, because things like this have to be done way ahead of time as far as like scheduled for, being talked about in Congress and all that stuff. It's probably just a really bad timing. I don't think that it's actually I don't play into all those conspiracy theories about the timing of things, because things are scheduled so far ahead of time. So yeah, Charlie, I'm not selling him short. I'm just saying that it probably was out of context in some way. Because I think that the actual argument, whenever he said that, whenever he was quoted with that, had to do with taxes. It really wasn't about free speech or protecting online platforms or anything like that. Okay, I'll look up some songs. I like music, and I especially like new music. Not new meaning like new age or anything like that, but just I like new impactful music. New to me, not necessarily new overall. Like I recently kind of discovered Falling in Reverse, and their latest stuff is pretty amazing. If you haven't checked them out, they're pretty cool. Don't really like their old stuff. I was the same way with Metallica. I caught on to Metallica like in the late. I think they were. What really got me into Metallica was the Black Album. But I do like some of their older stuff. But that album forward was what I really liked. So I'm not one of those. I don't know. I usually like the later stuff of bands more than the earlier stuff. Same way with Avenged Sevenfold. Don't really like their old stuff, like their new stuff. So cool stuff. All right, let's see. It is 9:53. Let's see if I think I covered pretty much everything I want to talk about with this thing. The one thing to really keep in mind before we get out of here is, this part right here really says it all. The Earn It Act is a vehicle to undermine end-to-end encryption, because if you think end-to-end, I send you a message that's encrypted, only you can read it, right? And we deal with this with crypto all the time. But let's just talk about messaging in general, like Facebook or any messenger. If it's encrypted end-to-end, at any point in that between the sender and the receiver, if it could be intercepted or it could be read on the client side or the receiver side by a third party like the government or law enforcement, then it's broken, because you better believe that those people or that key, however you want to look at it, will be used for malicious purposes. Will be, because you can't allow that to happen if you support encryption. You can't say we're going to support encryption, except for the government is going to have this little private key, this master key that can read these messages if they subpoena it, right? And I'll tell you a story too, because there's a project that I like. I support them. I dig it. It's called Bitcash. And early on, Bitcash had this feature that everybody didn't like. And it was, I can't remember what they called it, but it was basically a master key, like I was just discussing. It's kind of what made me think about it. But they had a master key to where but it had to do with transactions. It wasn't messaging. It was just being able to read and see transactions on the network, right? Your crypto transactions, Alice sends to Bob and all that stuff, right? So it was a master key that would enable a subpoena to allow that key to be given to whoever and allowed to read those messages, not the messages, but the transactions, right? So let's say it was a way to say, okay, we want our platform to be used for not nefarious reasons, right? We don't want people to launder money through our system and things like that. I got it, totally. But it was whenever they did like a consensus and they wanted people to vote on features, or I think they did a consensus, but they wanted some discussion on this. It was an uproar about that because nobody wanted it. Pretty much nobody wanted that feature in that crypto project. And I think it was only there for, I want to say it was less than a year since it launched, and it was taken out. They were like, yeah, we're done with this. So, they just did not, they didn't see what that was really going to do to the project, because people want privacy, and especially people who are in the crypto space, we want privacy. It's like the basic thing. And yeah, there's a lot of encrypted messengers out there now. Loki's coming out with one. I think it's already out. It's called Session. So if you're into the encrypted messaging platforms, then check that out. Not sponsored in any way or anything like that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just, I saw it today. I saw this going through over the news, and I'm like, man, this is not good. So I wanted to bring it up, bring some awareness, and just kind of get it out there. I know this isn't like mining related, but you know, on the mining side, I mean, look, guys, it's pretty freaking boring right now, right? I mean, if you go to what to mine, my rigs, none of my rigs are profitable. I'm actually on I'm actually on folding at home right now. I'm actually contributing all the rigs, well, except for the co-owned rigs. They are on folding at home, contributing to finding a vaccine, cure, whatever you want to call it, for you know, diseases, infectious diseases. So that's what I'm donating my hash power to. Nothing is profitable mining at all, so I am just not doing any of it right now. It will be back. I don't think that it's going anywhere. It's just that right now we're just in this really bad place, right? Don't get depressed, don't get down or anything. It will turn around. I'm confident that it'll turn around. We just have to wait all this out, because right now everybody's kind of panicking about the virus and everything. So it's just one of the things that we have to work through. Let's see if Brandon. Oh, Naomi's live too, huh? See if Brandon's going live here. Last night his didn't show up until right at 10 o'clock. So I don't know if he's doing, and that was a live stream last night, so I don't know if he's doing, he must not be getting in there and actually posting it beforehand. You know, I usually try to give about 30 minutes, at least 30 minutes. Sometimes it's all day. It just depends when I get to it, you know, posting that I'm going live. Oftentimes it's usually about half an hour or an hour. I think tonight it was like half an hour, but I like to give about an hour so people can kind of get settled in and, you know, like get ready for me to drone on about nonsense for half an hour at least. So yeah, I'll have to check out that Streamlabs moderator thing. That's kind of funny. I'll go back through here and try to find out if it was doing stuff that it wasn't supposed to. So I don't know. I'll have to look back through the chat and figure it out. If you know something specific, let me know, because it's pretty configurable. I should be able to allow things that I normally would allow. So just let me know, like, hey. Oh, that's funny. Deadwood must have had a long message or something, and it took that out of there. Oh, my bad. Let's see here. Can I allow that? Yeah, it won't let me allow it now. I thought maybe it would. All right, yeah, I'll figure that out. Maybe I'll. Hey, what's up, Red Panther? Maybe I'll rein in that that moderator a little bit. All right, so let's head over to Brandon Coin. Let's see. Let's do a refresh and see if he's coming up here. Not yet. I don't know, man. He was going live tonight. At least he said he was last night, because they're still doing giveaways. That mystery man is giving stuff away. So I think he's given 0.2 ETH. I think that's what he said. I'm pretty sure that's what he said. Oh, right on, Nefarious. Thanks, man. so my Streamlabs OBS moderator bot is Savage. Got it. All right, so you want me to look up, what was the savagely strict? I'll have to look back through the chat to find the names of the bands that I'm supposed to look up to. Oh yeah, exactly, Nefarious. If you like security, then you dislike convenience. You like convenience, then you dislike privacy. The two are not mutually exclusive. Yeah, it's one of those things that I actually talk about quite a bit with users, and I've talked about it on the channel before too, with security and convenience inversely proportional. I mean, so far it'll always be like that. You know, it's just one of those things that you have to deal with. If you want to be secure, it's going to be incredibly inconvenient. The more secure you are, the more inconvenient. The folks that actually make that bridge that gap or close the gap between security and convenience, they're going to be pretty well off. You know, if there's a technical solution to make that happen. But so far, it hasn't really worked out that way. Red Panda, I don't know if this bill is actually going to pass. I don't know the latest. The information I was looking at was actually from the 12th, I think. So there's been a few days. I did mention that I think that they're kind of distracted by other things going on right now. I don't know when this is going to be voted on or whatever, but it is absolutely freaking terrible. And there's actually an example in here too. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Because there was another bill, not to get too into the vices of the world or anything, but there was another bill that was called FOSTA, I think, and I don't remember what that stood for. But it basically was stopping even the legal solicitation online, right? Like, I think it had to do with Craigslist and all these other platforms where a worker could advertise services on that platform, and they stopped that. And there were a lot of Hollywood elites that were supporting this, right? So imagine this. I'll give you the scenario. Well, let's say let's say that Red Panda Mining, you're always my example. Let's say that you were in that industry, the service industry. You guys know what I'm talking about. But legally, right? You were in a location that it was legal and everything. I'm not going to use Red Panda Mining. Let's just say anybody else. So there was a female that was working in that industry in a legal area where it was legal. Then this bill comes out, or this law gets passed, that says that the platform can be held responsible for that illegal act, because or however it worked in the background. They basically kicked all these people, all these workers, this service industry workers, off of the platform. So what does that do to someone? Let's say that it's Craigslist, or even I want to say that had to do with the whole webcam thing also, maybe. I don't know. I didn't look that far into it because it was not really related to this particular article. But this is one of those examples of how whenever there are laws passed, especially whenever it has to do with vices, there's always going to be the people aren't going to just stop doing the vice, right? They're going to find another way. And that's what happened to these workers, the service industry workers, is that instead of them representing themselves and coordinating this event, this escort service or whatever it was online, right? And being able to validate and get a feeling for the other person that was wanting their services, well, that was done away with. So that was made illegal, I guess, by this FOSTA Act. Whatever, I can't remember. I think that's what it's called, FOSTA. So that was made illegal. So now, what do those workers do? Do you think that they just go down to, the local In-N-Out restaurant and get a job? No, that's not what they do. They have to get now they force them back on the street, right? So now you have a situation where they're on the street with those people that protect them, supposedly, right? They have to go into an agreement with someone that is meant to protect them, and it basically forces it back to the way it was before. And people were, women were getting, hurt in this whole process because of that law that said that they can't do this online. So anyway, I know I'm kind of like skirting around the whole thing because I don't really want to get into that on this channel, but anyway, just look at it like this. They were forced off of a platform that it was safe into a situation where it's unsafe because of that law. And that doesn't really apply to this, but it is a representation of how these laws can affect people. They want to do something good. It's always about that feeling of doing something good. Like, this sounds really awesome. You're preventing child exploitation online, but that's not what this is. It's not. It's just it's smoke and mirrors, man. This is not what this bill is about. So anyway, contact your congressman. Let them know. Let's see if Brandon's live over here. No. Where is Brandon? Anybody know? Anybody know? Yeah, exactly, Nefaris. Less government, the better. Anytime, I mean, we're going to see that a lot. We're going to see that a lot in the next few months. And probably for the next few years, actually. The more that the government gets involved, the worse it is. All right, so I am going to get out of here. That is going to do it for me. It is way past 10 o'clock. I don't know where Brandon's at. Hopefully he's all right. I figured he would be quarantined. He mentioned being quarantined, but still going to work. So he mentioned that last night. Let me get out of here. I will see you guys tomorrow night. I have no idea what I'll talk about tomorrow. I kind of like the news stuff. I do need to probably do a little bit more research and kind of be a little bit smoother with the news, but it was fun kind of doing something a little bit unusual, on my channel anyway. So I don't know. We'll see what comes of this. So I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Most likely, I don't know what I'll be talking about. There's no telling. So stay tuned. Tune in tomorrow at 9:30, same time. I'll probably tweet maybe about what we'll be talking about. Maybe I'll do a poll or something to see what's up. Right now, mining is just kind of, it's kind of bad. So got to figure something else to talk about. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Stay savage, everybody.